that away. How many seconds? One last drink of water? Well, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Think Bigger Live. My name is Jason Stum, your host here on the show that helps you upgrade your automotive digital marketing game today, and we are back for another live session. I'm pumped up, I'm excited, because I've got three special guests that are going to join me today, and we're going to break down Google's Dealer Playbook for you guys. There is a lot to this playbook, and we are really excited, so let's do this. Let's bring on our paid search team right now so we can get started with the Google Playbook. Come on in. Hi, hey, there you are. All right. Kara, Jessica, Brittany, they're from our paid search team. They are all here to help us break down the Google's Dealer Playbook. Are you excited?
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Me too. Are you guys ready? Yeah. All right, let's do this. All right, so let's just keep it simple to start. What is the Google Dealer Playbook?
Yeah, so digital should be and is a really important part of a dealership's budget. But the kind of question that remains is, what should I be doing with Google and what should I be doing with Google products as a part of that budget? So this is kind of Google's answer to that. So it's the recommendation on how to prioritize search, display, and video. And it's kind of like a step-by-step recommendation on how to maximize impression share and maximize results.
That's right. So what we're going to do here today for this live episode is we're going to go through all the pillars of Google's Dealer Playbook. So hey Mark, can you bring up the playbook, the pillars, so everyone knows what we're looking at here?
What's up?
All right, thank you, sir. So these are really laid out in pillars, and they're supposed to be steps that you're to follow. So you follow this along left to right, top to bottom of each pillar. And the very first play in the playbook is all about site speed. Dare I say there's a fundamental need for speed.
I feel the need for speed.
It's Top Gun reference. There it is. Somebody got it. I was afraid that the millennials at the table here wouldn't understand that. Now this makes a lot of sense. Before you start putting your money into paid search campaigns and video and display to drive all this traffic to your website, you got to make sure the website's equipped to handle that traffic, right? Makes sense? You don't want people to have a bad experience. So when Google talks about mobile page speed, this is really where they want you to start to make sure that you have the best site experience possible. And Google actually has two tools that you can use to test your mobile page speed. One is the Page Speed Insights tool for developers, and the other one is Test My Site by Think with Google. And they actually both measure different things. Now check this out. We got this covered for you already. On our very first episode of Think Bigger Live, I had the Dealer Inspire Page Speed team here on the set, and we spent a whole lot of time diving deep, way deep into page speed and everything you need to know. So you can go to the Facebook page for Launch Digital Marketing, and you can re-watch that first episode of Think Bigger Live for the deep dive. So that's page speed. Now we're moving on to the next thing, and that is measurement. It's one of the fundamentals. So our website is optimized to handle the traffic. Now we need to know what that traffic is doing once it lands on our website. So that's why we need to talk about Google Analytics and Google AdWords and the measurement components of both of those. So what's the bare minimum that Google says we need when it comes to measurement?
Yeah, so dealers should be tracking form submissions and phone calls as leads from paid search. And that can be done either directly in AdWords with conversion tracking or through Google Analytics using imported goals. But there's actually more that we do on top of that. So for phone calls from paid search, of course we can track them if somebody calls directly from the ad. But if somebody clicks on the ad and then goes to the website, we can dynamically change that phone number so that we can track those calls too. The other thing is if somebody comes through from paid search and then submits a lead through Conversations, a chat tool on DI, we're able to track that too and attribute that back to paid search. And then on a more kind of advanced note, our Roxanne attribution tool and the True ROI tab in the Dealer Inspire dashboard let us not only look at which touch points, including paid search, were kind of the most important in the path to a lead, but also actually we can match back sales to leads that came through from paid search.
Wow, that's awesome. And that's really what Google lays out in the playbook, is making sure that you have a line of sight into that and to make sure that your analytics and AdWords are connected. Now, this is crazy. So for you guys watching right now, action step, do you have access to your analytics? Do you have access to your AdWords account? Now, when you work with Launch Digital Marketing and Dealer Inspire, we make sure you have that line of sight into both of those properties, but not every agency out there actually will give you access to that. So it's really important you have that, and it's important to us that we give our clients that kind of accountability, isn't it?
Definitely. Yeah, and something that we've been able to use as well to give us a little bit more of an insight into how your accounts are performing and that we share with our clients is something that we've been working very closely with Google on, which is in-store visits. In-store visits is something that allows us to track when someone actually clicks on a paid search ad and ends up in your store. And so what this allowed us to see is that it was only costing our dealership about, their name is Savannah Toyota, about $22 to get someone actually into the store, and assuming about a 25% close rate, about $88 to actually make a sale, which is huge. And once we had that information to work with, we talked it through with the dealer, showed them just how it was working for them. We were able to increase spend, and year over year saw a 55% increase in actual in-store visits.
That is awesome. That is so cool. So we're tracking people coming into the store who interacted with paid search ads and being able to assign value to that. That is so crazy, and that's something that even Google was just lightly talking about when we saw them talk about this at our Rethink conference. And you know, one of the things I love about working here is I get to talk to some of the smartest people in this space, like you three, which is so awesome. So now we've covered the page speed. We know it's important. Now, so we're making sure that our visitors are having a good experience. We're tracking what they do, whether they come in through AdWords or just to the site in general with AdWords and analytics. Now, we need to start talking about the paid search basics, which is what Google has lined up here in their playbook, and making sure that we're reaching the most valuable customers as often as possible. And they really break this down into their search moments. And so I want to tackle these. Are you guys ready for this?
Yep.
So these micro moments, as Google calls them, are really important. These are the ways people are searching, you know, and they're in the car shopping journey. And the first one of these moments, micro moments that Google defines, is the where should I buy moments. Who can tell me about what the where should I buy means? And
I gotcha.
Jessica, you got me?
Yes.
Let's do it. Let's go.
So an example of a where should you buy moment is if someone's looking, searching on Google Honda dealer or Honda dealership in Naperville, or even more specific, Garvey Honda, for example. Those are people that are ready to buy, and you want to make sure you are optimizing your budget to make sure that you're showing up for those searches. After that is, can I afford it, or am I getting a good deal, is the next micro moment. And what that is when someone's including MSRP or lease. They're including that in their search query to make sure that they are getting a good deal.
So we agree here at launch that focusing on these three moments that are the people who are intending to buy a car like really soon are really important for dealers to have coverage there. But we did some additional research that actually ties distance from the user to the dealership and conversion rates. Tell us a little bit about this, Jessica.
Yeah, so not only do you want to be maximizing those lower funnel searches, but where you're bidding is also super important. So we did a study, and it included dealers all across the country. And what we found was that the majority of their conversions were coming from within a 5 to 10 mile radius from the dealership. So super important that you are bidding on those lower funnels, but also that you're maximizing what's in your backyard. That's where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. Another thing we recommend doing is utilizing location bid adjustments, and from there you're able to increase your, it's a bid optimization tool so that you can increase your bid and ensure that your ads are showing for those users that are in your backyard. So definitely want to take advantage of that as well.
Right, so protect your backyard at all costs. Make sure that's where you have the visibility. So our research was showing that consumers closer to your dealership are more likely to convert. So how should car dealers specifically, from a tactical standpoint, look to maximize their impression share for these ready-to-buy keywords so they don't miss out on these highly valuable shoppers?
Yeah, so like we talked about, those are going to be your ready-to-buy shoppers, and Google recommends that you have a 90% impression share on those search queries. So from what that means is that your ads are showing up 90% of the time because you have sufficient budget. And then also recently, we talked about this on our last Think Bigger Live, 64% of automotive searches are not happening on mobile. So mobile is super important. You hear Google talk about it, you hear us talk about it all the time. So we actually partnered with Google and we did a case study. And by increasing our mobile bids to address the rise in automotive searches on mobile, we were able to provide a 300% increase in conversions and a 31% increase conversion rate on mobile for all the dealers that were involved.
Is that 300%?
Yeah.
300%. So the main takeaways here are mobile and location, right?
Yes.
Is that fair to say? You can't get any more important than those two things right now?
Yep.
And making sure those ready to buy keywords are covered. Now, let's bring the playbook, the pillars back up here again to look through this so we know where we're at. So as we move through the brilliant basics, there are a couple of recommendations from Google that might seem a little confusing to those watching, and sometimes Jason. No, I'm just kidding. I know what I'm talking about. If they don't live, eat, breathe paid search like you guys do. So I just want to spend a couple minutes on these because it's important. Google recommends it, but I also want to put the context into this as well. So the first one of these that they recommend is remarketing lists for search ads, or RLSA for short. I can get it right. So what are remarketing?
Yeah, so
Remarketing lists for search ads.
We like to just call it remarketing for search.
Thank you.
It just sounds better.
Then you don't-
So it's a way to kind of re-engage customers that have visited your website in the past. And one of the big ways that we do that is, again, using bid optimization. So we can actually bid higher on somebody who has visited the site and is now searching on one of the keywords that are in the campaigns that we're running, and make sure that we're showing up for that person, because that's a person who's demonstrated some kind of intent and interest in your brand, so you want to make sure that you're showing up for them. And actually, across all of our accounts, we usually see that the click-through rate is about twice as high, and the cost per click is about just under 20% lower for people who are on those remarketing lists versus just all searchers.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah? Thumbs up in the... Yeah, okay, cool. All right, so that's RLSA. I got it right that time. The next one is similar audiences. Let's break this down, Kara. Similar audiences,
Yeah.
what does it mean? How does it help?
Yeah, so similar audiences is a newer feature for search that basically will take your remarketing list and it'll look across that remarketing list of users and find similar users based on kind of behavioral intent signals. So then what we can do is we can apply that to search and say if somebody is on this list of people and also searching, that's somebody who, they kind of have that audience intent, but because of the context of the search, that's somebody who's really, really valuable to us.
Gotcha. So remarketing lists, just to make sure I got this right, remarketing lists, those are people who have been on your website and now you're marketing to them, and similar audiences are audiences that Google can build based off similar characteristics from your remarketing list. So those are new people that you might not have met yet but are in market. Right?
Exactly.
Perfect. Perfect. So let's move on here. So we have the brilliant basics of paid search covered. And at this point, wow. Now at this point in time, Google wants us to expand that and look at two other micro moments that are a little farther out in the funnel, but still can be highly valuable to make sure that your dealership is showing up for these type searches. That is the "Is it right for me?" and "Which car is best?" moment. Jessica, what's an "Is it right for me?" moment, and how do we target those?
So I just wanted to reiterate the 90% impression share that we talked about in the first place. So making sure you're covering off on those name, dealer, and locations first. We're at a 90% impression share, and then, yes, like you said, these keywords are still highly valuable. The "Is it right for me?" micro moment is going to be someone searching for a 2017 Honda Blue Accord LX. And then from there, the "Which car is best?" So this will be someone searching for Honda SUV or Honda CR-V reviews. These people are still very much in the comparison and research phase. So yes, you want to be there, but they are higher funnel and typically going to be your more expensive keywords to bid on as well. I already said that.
So you already said that. So what you're saying is, really, just to reiterate what you said, Jessica, that 90% impression share is huge. Make sure that's covered before you move on to these other two micro moments. But it just so happens when you're ready, and if you're working with us at launch, we already have you covered here. It's for those of you who might be working with somebody else, what you want to check in where you're at with the playbook, with your current efforts. So we got you covered, and we've actually built some award-winning technology called Fuel that helps our clients reach these customers in these micro moments. Brittany, break it down. Fuel, what you got?
Yeah, so Fuel is our dynamic inventory advertising platform that allows us to do a lot of cool things for our clients. A huge part of what Fuel is, and this is a product that we work in every single day, is it allows us to sync directly with our clients' inventory feeds and advertise all those different vehicles that are on their lot. So what this allows us to do is create those custom keyword lists, those custom ads, and with those custom keyword lists, we can get to those really low funnel, high intent keywords that are going to offer that greatest return to our clients. So we have several bidding strategies in place as well, down to that keyword level, to make sure that we're getting your inventory in front of searchers' eyes. We want to make sure if you have a vehicle on the lot that just really isn't getting any love, getting any attention, if someone's searching for that vehicle, we want to make sure you're number one so that they can't miss you, that they end up on your website.
So that's some pretty fancy schmancy AI stuff going on in the background there. Wow, that is crazy. So let's recap here. Let's just settle it down for a second, because we've been covering a lot really quick. We've covered page speed. We've covered making sure your analytics and AdWords are connected. We've covered the fundamentals and basics of paid search and into that expansion. So we got all that. Now it's time to kind of shift a little bit to talk about video and display advertising. And when it comes to the Google Display Network, there's actually some pretty cool things you can do there. You can use those remarketing lists on display just like you can for search ads. So how does Google help us find these audiences through display so we can reach these automotive shoppers that are in market for our dealerships?
Yeah, so the Google Display Network really is a fantastic way to make sure that you're keeping that consistent messaging across the board. You're really reaching those high intending consumers who are ready to buy. So what we do is take that huge, think about the sheer amount of data that Google has that's at our fingertips with the Google Display Network. With an in-market shopper, they have over 5,000 intent signals that they make throughout a month that marks them as an in-market shopper. So that's a huge thing that you really want to take advantage of in your display strategy. We do use so much more than that in-market. So what we do is take that audience and then we start to segment it out even further. So one major point of this is getting into that layered targeting. So not only using that in-market audience, but also focusing on what they're doing at that particular moment. If they're shopping for something else, you don't necessarily want to hit them with an auto ad at that point because that's not the mindset that they're in. So you want to kind of reach them when they're on an auto intending website. They're doing research. They're looking at that model that they've been so interested in. You want to reach them at that key point when they're ready and in that mindset to purchase a car and to research on your website as well. So that's a huge part of what we do. The next big thing that we do is partner with Oracle data. So while the Google Display Network targeting options are fairly limitless, there are some opportunities still. So with Oracle, what we're able to do is actually filter down to that model level, which isn't quite available yet on the Google Display Network. So with that model level, we can reach those people who have purchased your particular model in the past, or they're coming up on the end of a lease, and that can be in your brand or out of brand. And it gives us an opportunity to kind of scoot someone over from that competing dealership next door as they come to the end of their lease, which is a fantastic option. The last thing we have, and this is something that we're able to do through Fuel as well, is dynamic remarketing. So dynamic remarketing is huge because it allows you to get your actual inventory into an ad. And as soon as it sells, it's not there anymore. You don't have to worry about putting these up, taking it down, sending to a landing page that no longer has an inventory, because once it's sold, once it's off your lot, you don't have to worry about it anymore. It's going to go ahead and be removed from that ad. And what we can do with that dynamic remarketing, sorry, I know I can talk so long.
I'm totally captivated. Please keep going.
So what dynamic remarketing allows you to do is with that inventory feed, you're going to remarket those actual vehicles that they looked at on your website. And so not only are you going to show them that vehicle, because maybe that one just wasn't it, you're going to show them similar vehicles that might have the color or the trim level that they actually want. So then you not only are bringing them back in like, hey, don't forget about me, you're bringing them back to their website. We typically see twice the click-through rate, about a 27% drop in bounce rate, and a ton more engagement on your website once they click on that dynamic remarketing ad versus a static remarketing ad. So it's a fantastic option. It is currently only available if you do have a DI site. We've had some issues on other websites with the tag test not being installed quite right.
That is just right here. You at home, applause. Brittany, are you kidding me? That was awesome. That was so awesome. Yeah, there you go. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. You're going to have a long day. So let's do this. That is a great overview on display. What makes our team just so brilliant? I'm just like, what is that? That is so awesome. So let's talk about a subject here that I know. I used to be in the dealership, and I've had this conversation, and I bet you might have had these conversations too. When you have a huge TV budget for your dealership, and you just want to get some of that, just some of those dollars, just give me some of those dollars, and let's put it towards YouTube. Now, I'm of the believer, this is my opinion, is that there's just no valuable day part left in TV to advertise on. There's not one thing that drives people to the TV anymore where you can reach an audience with enough frequency to make a good impression. People are obviously, when commercials come on, you guys do it. If you're even watching, you're not even tuned in, or you're watching on DVR, or you got Sling TV, or PlayStation View, some over-the-top network where you're just not getting those traditional impressions anymore. And we want to take that money and we want to get some of it on YouTube. And you can actually do a lot of cool things with YouTube and reach the actual people who are shopping for vehicles in your market, regardless of what they're watching or when they're watching. So let's talk a bit about this. When it comes to YouTube, why should car dealers be on it?
So according to Google, there's more than 4 million daily views views of that in-market auto content on YouTube.
Just hold
which
on,
is
just pause. You say it
huge.
one more time. Look at the camera. Say that one more time because this is important. Pay
There's more
attention.
than 4 million daily views, according to Google, on actual auto intent content on their platform, which is a huge opportunity. So if you're not advertising on YouTube, that is something you're completely missing out at this point, because that's a huge viewership audience that's actually actively looking for what you're offering. So you want to make sure that you're getting in front of them. Right now, YouTube has a much higher reach for those auto intenders than those traditional cable networks. So you want to make sure that you're getting in front of them. And with Google says about 97% of auto intenders on YouTube make some sort of action after they've seen this video. It can be they're looking for inventory on the site, or they actually show up at the dealership. So that's huge. We want to make sure that that's not a missed opportunity for our clients.
Yeah, that is huge. There are people in the market to buy a car right now in your dealership in your area, and they're on YouTube. You're on YouTube. I'm on YouTube. That's all I do all day is watch the YouTube, man. So get on there. Get on there while you still can. So if that doesn't convince you to start seriously looking at YouTube, you really need to, because you're missing out on a huge opportunity right there if you don't have the budget for it.
Can I tie it back to search?
Yes,
real
go,
fast?
go.
Actually, we know that video will contribute to an increase in search too. So we worked with the dealership to really increase their budget really drastically for a month, and we saw that contribute to an 18% increase in paid and organic traffic combined. And then without increasing any budget, we saw something like a 30% increase in impressions on search. So we know that the push in branding on digital contributes to an increase in search too.
And that makes, that's awesome, because that makes a lot of sense. A lot of times when we investigate, like on the SEO side, and a client will say, hey, you know what, my organic traffic's down. And a lot of times we can tie that back, going back a couple years, we would look for their change in advertising on TV or radio to say, well, you cut your budget for TV and radio, you weren't getting that brand message out there, and as a result, your organic dropped. And so it's interesting to see the exact same concept works here today in 2017 when you did YouTube branded ads, is that awareness went up and organic searches went up. It all makes sense. You gotta let people know that you're around. If they know you're around, they'll search for you when in the market to buy a car, right? Simple as that. So wow, we just kind of like, that, I have no idea where we're at on the time, but I felt like that was fast, but I think maybe it went longer than it did. Well, I don't know. Kara, Jessica, Brittany, thank you guys so much for joining me here on the show today. You all crushed it. You rocked it up.
Thank you.
And as always, thanks to the guys behind the scene for making the show look and sound good. We could not do this without you. Now, if for you guys watching right now, if you already work with us at Launch and Dealer Inspire, we have you covered as far as the playbook is concerned. Everything that's in there, things we've been doing, for a long time. It's kind of like just how we do. To quote Katy Perry or someone like that. Sorry, now that's gonna take me somewhere I can't go right now. And so if you're working with us, we got you covered. If you're not working with us currently, why not? But no, seriously though, you want to make sure you find out exactly where you are, where you line up within these pillars, just so you have a better understanding. Remember, this is what Google is recommending that you do to drive your business forward, and we want to be the good Google Premier partners that we are to really help you understand and dive deeper into this. That's why we started Think Bigger Live to go along with our Think Bigger podcast. And if you want any more information on any of this, you can go deep. You can go deep on the Think Bigger podcast. You can find it on iTunes. You can find it on Google Play. And also, if you join us on November 1st, we're going to be circling back to Google Analytics and measurement with our analytics team to get their take and to really show you how you can take your analytics to the next level. So that's November 1st, 12 noon Central Time, 1 p.m. Eastern. And that's all I got. Once again, thanks everybody. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time on Think Bigger Live.